filled up just yet, but hopefully we will in the next couple of minutes. I'm just here to give a very quick introduction to Anne Ryan from Innopharma Labs, who's going to talk to you about career opportunities in the life sciences sector. So,
Great.
You're not here to hear from me. I'm going to hand over to Anne.
I'm going to hand over to Pierce now. Pierce is going to do the presentation. You're very welcome. You don't need your headsets or anything. You can hear me okay, can you? It might get a bit noisier, so you might want to put them on if it starts to get a bit noisier. So my name is Anne Ryan. I work with Innopharma Education. Have you heard of Innopharma at all? Innopharma Education. So we are specifically in the space of, in that umbrella, I suppose, or under that umbrella of life science. So we're specifically in pharmaceutical manufacturing, education for that sector. Pharmaceutical manufacturing, food science and technology, digital transformation and medical device technology. So our programs are specifically focused around those core sectors. We've been around and developing programs since about 2009, and we partner with two institutions. So we partner with Griffith College, you probably would have heard of Griffith College, and also TUD, which is Technological University. So the ITs, they've gone to university standard. So they're our academic partners. So we're, I suppose, a major part of the Faculty of Science within these institutions, but we specifically develop the programs for the sectors I've mentioned. So that's the expertise that we have. We run programs, blended programs, throughout the country. They're flexible and online and part-time, so they're in the space of and up to that on that national framework. But this is just a map, I suppose, and an indication of where all our learners are from and that have participated in the programs. So what I'll go through, just to row back for a moment, I'll go through the programs that we have and that we deliver, and it'll give you just some context around what we do and our expertise, and then I'll move into just looking at the changes in the skills that are required to work in the life science sector. If you think about 10 years ago, the type of skills that would be required, there's still that foundational science, technology, process understanding, scientific understanding, come on in, but there's a lot of new skills that are required to develop a career in the sector, in these sectors. And what would you think they are? And that's a question to you. What do you think the new skills? You have all your scientific knowledge. If you're anyone studying science or engineering, so you have all your scientific knowledge, but there's a whole new skill set that's required, and that is, I suppose that makes you very competitive, and that's in the world of data and data analysis and understanding data and moving data from that warehouse, a big massive warehouse of data to from a data lake to a data warehouse where you can actually pull information out. So there's a whole new layer of skills required with regard to that scientific engineering space as well. So, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'll give you some real case studies, I suppose, or real life examples of where our graduates have gone in the life science sector, and the skill, and also a map. Maybe I'll hone in on biopharmaceuticals, and we look at the framework of skills around working in biopharma. Just because you go in as an engineer or a scientist or an operator or somebody in documentation doesn't mean that you'll stay there. There's a whole vertical framework that you can go, so you can work your way up in a department, but there's also that whole lateral framework that you can move across different departments. So there's a couple of things that I'll get through on the slides, okay? And then we'll open it up to questions. So just back to Innopharma, just to put some context on it. We've been around since 2009. We've 10,000 graduates successfully graduated through our programs in that space of pharma, MedTech, food science and digital transformation. We are on that national framework, so you're probably all studying at the moment, are you? Or have you thinking about it? Possibly thinking about it. Are you in a program at the moment? Yeah. Or you're thinking about your next step, so you're possibly thinking about a master's program as well, or working your way through your undergrad. So we are in that framework as well, so you'd be knowledgeable and experienced of that across the 6 to 9. And as I've mentioned, we're specifically in that scientific technical space. Okay, so that just puts some context of who we are and who I work for. Okay, so this is the roadmap of programs that we have. So we have that suite of masters down here. We have a new master's program there in digital transformation, which is developing all those skills that you need for that new environment that we're working in. We have our level 8 programs, and up at level 6 and level 7. Again, they have technical skills, so they've that analytical skill, that QC skill, quality assurance, but also process development, the engineering element of it, process improvement. So all that technical skill, okay, and that's the space that we're in. Okay. These are some of the companies that we've placed our students in and that are working within the companies in various different roles, from bioprocess engineers to QC analysts, quality assurance, and they've also sent their employees on our programs as well for development. So you'll see some of the bigger names there. A lot of them run graduate programs as well, and some of them are here today, so it's worth having a chat with them. And also then some of the food sector, some of the big global names that you'd recognize as well. Okay. So now to look at how the skill set, we're here to talk about careers and skills required in industry. So the skill set, as I've mentioned, has changed. So we've moved along this industrial roadmap, you know, from the first industrial age of steam, and then we've moved into that second age that was in the 17th to 18th century, and then you've moved along to the age of mass production. I've dates up there, 1870 to 1914. That's that space. If you think about the skills that were required back then to where we've come from and to where we are now, there's been that momentum shift. What do you think happened in 1896 that really accelerated this mass production? What do you think happened? We're thinking we've moved from that whole area of just steam-based engines, and then we've moved to that mass production, which had a huge impact on industry. Yeah, well, somewhat, getting there. What else do you think? If you think about what changed our lives to get from A to B. Henry Ford and his production line changed. So the first car was developed around that time, and that was developed through those. Beforehand, you would make one unit and then move it to the next stage. The mass production line started to develop then, and that started to develop a whole new skill set. Then we moved into that next computer-based. So we became very much computerized, and that required a whole new skill set. You know, that we moved from that mass production. 1836 to 1936, what do you think happened then? Have a guess. The war happened anyway, yeah? So we had the war, but something else happened, and it was pivotal, I suppose, or huge in transforming the way we worked. What was it? Penicillin, yes, exactly. That impacted on the whole area of the life science. But electricity became much more accessible. Around that time in Ireland, we didn't have electricity in a lot of the rural areas. But electricity became much more available and accessible, which made production and manufacturing and skills much quicker and easier and so on. The first computer was developed back then in 1822, and it weighed 700 pounds. So you can see even back then the difference, and it's really not that long ago. And then we moved into this new industrial age. So the industrial age of Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0. Have you heard those terms before, Industry 4.0 or 5.0? So 4.0 is all around driving efficiencies, output, getting the product out, driving up the business. And 5.0, and this is where it impacts on your skill set, if you're moving into the life science sectors, sustainability becomes so much more important. Here in 4.0, we're all about driving efficiency, getting the product out, making as much as we can. 5.0 brings in the planet, because we can't continue as we are. So sustainability and understanding sustainability is really important, and also that human-centric element. So your leadership skills, how you mix with people, agility, flexibility, leadership, motivation, you as an individual, your values and integrity, that all becomes very important. Automation, obviously, your technical skills, hugely important, but also skills around understanding sustainability. So that's all the new kind of area of skill set that we're looking at. Okay, so everything is connected now. So there's a huge amount of data, huge amount in industry, in any type of industry. If you're looking at clinical trials, it's all based on data. If you're looking at production processes, it's all based on data. So everything is connected. It generates a huge amount of information, but information is only information unless we know what to do with it and we can actually crunch the numbers and make our sound business decisions on it. So it's really important. So if you look at it from the context of looking at it, that whole new skill set that's required, and then if you look at the context of the occupations that our students are applying for, and also the type of opportunities that are there for you. Okay, so just because you train as an engineer or a scientist or a microbiologist, it doesn't mean that you stay in that, you're pigeonholed into that. There's a whole array of roles and opportunities that you can go for. If just this list is just some of them that our students have moved into. So you'll see researcher, obviously, scientist, QC analyst, QA analyst. Within the pharma, manufacturing, there's a huge amount of documentation, huge amount of paperwork in any type of life science sector, because everything has to be documented, everything has to be proven. We prove it, as in we write it. We improve it, as in process improvement strategies. We prove it, we improve it, and there's one other piece I'm missing on that. But there's a huge amount of documentation, and because of that, it's needed because there's a patient at the end of every process. So you have to verify and validate that you've done what you're supposed to do in that process. So documentation is huge. Obviously QC, quality control, testing and releasing that product is also huge. Then there's the whole area of manufacturing, clinical trials before the drug even gets to market. So they're the type of roles. You'd have reg affairs, you're dealing with regulatory agencies such as the FDA and HIPAA, so you have a huge area of opportunity with reg affairs, and then all the other areas there around anyone studying engineering or process, science, pure science maybe, science, yeah. Okay, so a lot of opportunities there around process development as well. Engineering is validation, maintenance, etc. So these are the type of opportunities that are out there in the life science sector. And then if we look at it from the skill set that's required coming down the tracks, future facing. So we've spent a lot of time with the industry and looked at what they required their graduates to come in with. You have probably your primary degree, which has developed a huge skill set of technical knowledge, but there's also other areas that they want knowledge of, and this is where we're looking at it. If you think about that smart factory, that's Industry 5.0, that's all about those driving efficiencies, but looking at the sustainability. You can't just crunch out product in a smart factory, you have to have sustainability, and you also have that human-centric element. So the smart factory, it requires skills around business case, understanding the business that we're working in, quality management, right? QC, QA, data acquisition, so lots of information that's being crunched out. How do you use that? What system do you use? Do you use Power BI? Do you use other, beyond Excel, different systems to make sense of the information? Data storage, how do we know that everything is integral? It's not being hacked into, and our results that our test has given us to release that batch to market is actually integral, that the information, we can rely on the information. So security, crunching the numbers. It's all very well crunching numbers and being able to create evidence or a case, make a case, but you have to be able to present that. You have to be able to communicate it and develop a report with it. Data analysis is just one part of it. It's visualization and being able to tell that story to make your business case and to solve your problem. So that's another area, which is storytelling. OpEx, have you heard of OpEx? Lots of opportunities in that space, understanding lean processes, how do we map a process, factory floor, how do we map it out and understand it and cut out waste from that, so drive efficiencies that way. So lots of opportunities there. And strategy change, ethics and sustainability, another area, and transversal skills. And the transversal skills are all about you. They're all about that element of understanding your own resilience, your own leadership, motivation, etc. Okay, So there's, I suppose looking at it from the enterprise and the smart factory. And if you look at some of the type of roles to start in the industry, so operators or technicians across the business, you're looking at supply chain management, lots of opportunities in there. I was talking to an engineer that started in pharma last week, and she started as a junior engineer, and she's head of supply chain now in one of the big pharma companies. So it's not where you start either, it's where you develop your skills to move forward. So supply chain, operations. Operations is everything that happens underneath that roof. Supply chain is everything that happens either side of it. So the goods coming in and the goods leaving is supply chain. But everything that happens underneath, forecasting, scheduling, planning, HR, that's all operations. And again, there's lots of opportunities in there. Project management, as you move through your career, you're going to need a little bit of project management skills maybe to develop if you're going to manage a project. Information technology, automation, as I said, computer architecture, programming. Whoops, it's jumping ahead of me. So they're the type of skills we've identified. This is really hard to see. It was much clearer, sorry, it was much clearer they've changed the slides on me, but this is a skills framework, okay? If you're looking at the biopharmaceutical industry, which is absolutely huge in Ireland, okay? And it's like the idea behind this, I know you can't see it, I'll briefly explain it to you, but the idea behind it is you're looking up here at director level, so the head of the roles, okay? So you would have the roles in process development and manufacturing, you have quality assurance and quality control, you have production, and you have engineering and maintenance. They're the kind of key pillars working in a pharmaceutical production facility. And the top line here is where you're at that director level. And this is where you will come in maybe as graduate level or as entry level. So let's look specifically maybe at production. Production is one of the biggest areas in pharmaceuticals where we make the product, okay? So production, you would come in here as a operator or a process technician, and previously you would have worked this way. You know, you would have maybe worked up and you was process tech, then you go to maybe possibly production or engineering technologist, then you go up to executive or supervisor, and then you move to production manager and right up to director level. That's that lateral movement. Now there is so much more opportunity for you, no matter where you come in. There's a huge amount of that lateral movement that you could start in production and end up over here in quality assurance, looking out after that whole area of documentation. You could start in engineering and you could end over here in process development. So where you start your career in the life science sector, and particularly in pharmaceutical manufacturing and medical device manufacturing, there's lots of opportunities for you to move both upwards in your career in the same department, but also to transfer across. Okay, so if we look at, it's very sensitive, sorry. This is breaking that down a little bit further. That previous slide where we had that framework, okay, and what qualifications you might need to move into certain roles. So where you start, if you have your level 7 or your level 8 or level 6, and you find an entry level role within the sector, as you progress, and you want to progress, if you do, and want to move into different roles, you will need to progress in your education as well, okay? So this gives you an indication. So for instance, if you're moving into production or process, you will need that level 6 and level 7 qualification. If you're moving towards quality and quality assurance, you will be moving up towards that level 8 qualification, and these are the type of skills that you need, you know, the production knowledge, understanding GMP, understanding process, technology, etc. So as you progress on, if you're moving up in that either lateral or horizontal up towards that different levels within the framework, there is different requirements. So if you look at the production, you're looking either in process, in the bioprocess, you're looking at a product builder, maybe an operator. The kind of skills that you need are all those fundamental skills that you'll get from your degree, that technical knowledge if you're doing a science degree or an engineering degree. And then you will need other skills, and you'll note that in every one of this skills matrix, data is starting to come into it now. Data analysis, understanding data, integrity, etc. So all of that data skill set is required as you move through your career and through these different roles. And along here is the different types of qualifications that you'll need if you want to progress. And it's the same here. So there's other type of support functions within the life science sector. So you could have clinical trial coordination. You may have medical writing. You could have legal information, marketing, etc. Clinical trial admin, and again you're looking at it up on that skill set, and these are the kind of competencies that you would need to work in that role. So we'll move on and look at some of where our graduates have actually gone and the type of roles that they've gained in the industry and in the different industries. So this is Adon. So he completed our food business management and technology. It's a master's program. So he did have agricultural science, but then when he did the master's program, he really specialized into the whole area of formulation, development of new products, marketing of new products, it's the science of it as well. This particular program has business modules and it has science modules. So from that he ended up in a really good job actually with ruminant business manager with Glanbia. So that's an area that the masters probably really helped him pivot into because of the experience that he got and the knowledge that he got from the program. So this is from our honours degree in pharmaceutical business. This particular program gives you a lot of quality, it gives you a lot of process improvement, strategy, and then it also gives you the market and the subject expertise, as in pharma. Now, Roisin came from various different roles within the food and the pharma sector, but she's gone into global head of procurement. So I suppose just to show you that you might think if you're doing a pharmaceutical business, you might not end up in a procurement role, but again, that's the type of opportunity that she got through the program. And then we have the higher cert in process technology. That's very analytical program. It's developing for QC, it's developing for bioprocess, it's developing GMP skills as well as technical writing skills, and that's one area that employers are saying that graduates and employees are weaker on, that technical writing, being very succinct, concise with the writing, being able to write up reports for auditors, reports, SOPs, etc. So that's one area that this program focuses in on as well. And then Deirdre has gone into Medtronic. So she started as an operator, product builder in Medtronic, and there's lots of opportunities again for QC there. Radhika is a great story. Radhika came over from, I can't remember what country she came from, but she was a doctor, but it wasn't her qualification wasn't recognised here. Kind of had to start all over again. And she started with our higher diploma in biopharmaceutical and manufacturing, went in as an operator. So started at that production, that bottom rung of the employment opportunity, started there and then progressed her way up. And now she's working, she did her postgrad as well, she went straight from the level 8 to the level 9, and she's a senior associate with clinical trials. Now she did have a lot of expertise coming from her previous life as a doctor, but she did have to start again at the bottom rung here and educated herself, refreshed her skills and honed her skills specifically for pharma and for clinical trials. And she's one of our lecturers now as well, so she's working with Lily. Molly again did the digital transformation. So this is the new master's program. It's all in that space of data and data for pharma. So data management with regards to quality as well. So inequality in a digital age. And then she's working with Qualio again in a quality role. And finally, I think I have one final one. Ranish is a great story too. He went in as an intern in the HPRA, you know the HPRA? So it's the Irish equivalent to the Health Products Regulatory. So it's the Irish equivalent of the FDA. So he went in as an intern, completed the diploma in pharma business, and now he's a scientific officer for OPEX, so that role of operational excellence in the HPRA. So again, another story of where you might do engineering, you might do pharmaceutical science, but you end up in a quality role, you might end up in a regulatory role, in a clinical trial role. There's lots of lateral movement and lots of different opportunities for you to go, but it's about developing that skill set as well, okay? And data, huge now, so start honing your skills around data. So that's just a quick presentation really about the changes in the industry, the type of roles that our graduates are coming through. That's it. It's Kieran's pointing at me there. It's not moving. So if there's any questions, I'll take any questions. We do have a stand as well, so you're welcome to come over and have a chat with us about the different master's programs and higher diploma programs as well. Okay, thanks for listening, guys. Thank you.